An alien, disguised as an alluring woman. I wondered what would happen to such a creature during its work here, if it were put in the way of subtle, fragile, tenuous human events. What might that immersion into our consciousness lead to? What if the alien, against its will, became human? What if it turned to face its own blind spot, came to recognize its own horror? In Under the Skin, Scarlett Johansson plays a character referred to only as the Female, an alien dressed up in the skin of an attractive woman, and sent to Earth to harvest the bodies of men for an unknown purpose. In an essay on the nature of art, Oliver Eliasson argues that part of its purpose is to transport us, to offer us a perspective shift. The film is an exemplification of this idea. Through the lens of the female's experience, Glazer peels back the layers of cultural context that underlie and give rise to modern society, allowing us to critically assess our own behavior as humans. This is most fully accomplished through Under the Skin cinematography, which presents a society that is at once familiar to us and utterly foreign. When representing normal life, the aesthetic of most of the film is intentionally naturalistic. People are framed with car doors and at odd diagonal angles, captured with shaky, desaturated cameras. Many are not even aware that they're in a film at all. Most of the scenes involving the van were shot with hidden cameras. The consequence of all of this is a feeling of familiarity, of normalcy. This isn't some artificial world that the director has created. This is the society that we live in. And yet, something is different. The soundtrack drones in the background, uneasy and discordant. Johansson's lifeless face and scripted questions create a stark contrast to the effortless humanity of those that she interacts with. This is indeed our world, but viewed from a different perspective, one which allows us to engage critically with elements of human nature that we normally take for granted: stereotyping, objectification, humanization, and above all else, a fixation on the image. In a paper on stereotyping, Donovan Macfarlane argues that the social and cultural interactions that define our modern, technologically connected society have made stereotypes about others based upon their appearance more common than ever before, a reactionary consequence to our increasingly globalized, culturally diverse lives. Almost all of the characters of Under the Skin are exemplifications of this trend. A deformed man is a social outcast. An attractive white woman is either a victim, a trophy, or an object. And something that falls outside of these categorizations, well, that has simply to be destroyed. The men that the female lures demonstrate the consequences of engaging in such objectification. They are so consumed by the promise of sex, so fixated upon the body, that they lose what makes them human. The film explores this through horrifying metaphor, as they are left literally scraps of skin, all of their substance, their humanity, ripped out of them. The imagery of these scenes represents this idea symbolically, the otherworldly aesthetic and minimalistic visuals reinforcing just how far these men have strayed from humanity in their pursuit of false image. As the female starts to become more human through the kindness of others, she also becomes capable of understanding the horrifying consequences of being objectified. At the end of the film, she is raped and assaulted by a logger. This scene speaks to the terrible power of dehumanization, taken to an extreme, as the humanity that she has discovered over the course of the film is torn away in an instant. Her human face cries at the terrible loss of what she only recently found, but her alien face cannot. She has been made into an object, unable to even mourn the loss of her humanity. Ultimately, the film argues that, in stereotyping and forming others into objects, we sacrifice our own humanity, even as we deny them theirs. The film's power as a work of art is its ability to reveal that fundamental truth to us, to hold up a mirror to the impacts of our increasingly globalized lives. We are creatures who, for all of our kindness, are capable of subjugating others, often unconsciously. It warns us that we must remember that we are both the skin that we wear and the soul that underlies it.